If your garage is your gym or your workshop or your hobby space, basically you use this area, then these 5 things are going to be game changing to making it a better space to be in. If you just use it to store the lawnmower, the fake Christmas tree, and somewhere to lock the kids when you want some peace and quiet, this video can't help you. But I like the way you think. When we bought this house, we still owned our previous house, so we had about 4 weeks where we could do whatever we wanted to any part of this entire place before we moved in. And I came straight in here, the garage, day one, with a tin of paint, because number 1 on this list is paint the walls. I've actually done a couple of videos on this channel already where I review people's indoor cycling setups, and my biggest moan is always reserved for the people that don't have painted walls. All of you with bare brick walls, it is 2 hours at the weekend with some cheap paint, any colour you like, it will transform the space, I guarantee it. You don't even need to take down that motivational wall art, Jamie, just paint over that. Your garage is not in New York, it's not a Hell's Kitchen loft conversion that needs exposed brickwork. Get it painted. There's not actually much wall space left in this place to even show you, but what there is not the colour of bricks anymore. It is such a simple job that makes the biggest difference. If your garage is full of stuff, just empty it, it's summer, stick it all on the driveway and just get the job done. We went from beam height to floor in here. Don't worry about making the line on the floor nice and neat where it joins, because you're going to be laying flooring over that anyway. White makes it feel twice as big and reflects loads of light, so it just feels brighter in here. But if you want, other colours work too. I did this whole section here in this blue because it just needed touching up, and I thought blue would make this area here look like a sort of bike zone. It was just some paint that Jenna had left over from doing inside the house, so I used that. The beauty of painting your garage as well is it doesn't need to be a fancy job. Just slap paint on the walls. If you move some shelves or things around in the future, just throw a bit of fresh stuff up. Get your kids to do it even. Although put some sheets over your expensive stuff before you let a child loose with a tin of paint, obviously. Trust me, you do this, you'll spend a couple of hours on it and you'll then kick yourself that you did not get it done sooner. Number 2, security. When I walk past neighbours' houses here in the summer and they're on their driveway washing their car or something and their garage door is open, and I can look inside and see they've got maybe a motorbike in there or a fancy carbon fibre road bike or even just lots of tools and stuff, and that garage door that's open is a regular UK up and over door, I cringe. If you're a scumbag piece of crap, YouTube will teach you how to break the lock on those in 30 seconds. If you don't have 30 seconds spare, get a couple of scumbag piece of crap mates and you can just rip those open anyway. Now, is a metal roller door like I've got here impossible to get past? No, but it's impossible to get past quietly at 2 AM. Make your garage as inconvenient as possible to get into. It's like the joke about the 2 guys on safari that bump into a lion. One sticks on his trainers and his mate says, "You can't outrun a lion." He says, "I don't need to, I just need to outrun you." If there are 100 houses around you with garages that are easy to get into, make yours the one that is wearing trainers. And it's not just the door. Every bike in here, for example, is chained up with a gold-rated lock and chain to a floor-mounted anchor point that is going nowhere. My local Facebook group is always full of people saying, "Can you keep an eye out for my kid's bike, stolen from our shed last night? They broke the padlock on the door." Right, and then what? The bike was then just gift wrapped, ready for them to go. Lock your stuff up. If not to an anchor point, which is obviously best, then lock it to your bloody mower. Anything to make the job of just walking off with what's yours harder. And in here, there is obviously lots more we do. Nothing expensive is left in here overnight or if we're away. Without going into too many details, there are plenty of other things you can do with CCTV and house alarms and all sorts of clever stuff to make this a very hard place to get into. And even if you do get into it, a rather pointless place to have then got into. Right, number 3, we're going low. Flooring. A decent floor. This is the one that I often see done, but done badly. First of all, if you have no flooring, that is as bad as bare walls. It's cold, it's dusty, you can't clean it, unacceptable. But I see 3 solutions that are done but still suck. Sucky solution number 1, painting the floor. It was the very first thing I did in here after I'd done the walls. It looked amazing when I finished it. It was a matte grey, it looked very smart, but within days it looked rubbish. The paint was flaking off. Every time I dropped a spanner or something on it, it would chip and look tatty. Complete waste of time. Not much better is getting a roll of rubber mat and just covering a bit of the floor, which I see people do all the time if they've got a squat rack or something. They just cover the floor under that one area. Half-assed, looks terrible. Clear your garage out and do the whole thing at once, but don't do what is very common right now, sucky solution number 3, cheap foam tiles. The ones at the DIY store stacked right at the front by the till on special offer. That's your clue. I went with those after the paint had flaked off. In fact, they weren't even cheap DIY ones. They were kind of medium priced cheap rubbish. Within weeks, I regretted it. I had a free weights area that was in here. Every time I put a dumbbell down, I'd tear a chunk of the floor up. If I spilt any fluid on them, it would seep in between the tiles, get underneath them. Within a couple of months, it looked nasty. So I phoned the place up that I'd ordered them from. I explained the problem and they said, you need commercial grade tiles. We have different types. The best ones you can drive a forklift over. If you come down, the next ones will handle a regular car on them. I said, whoa, back up. You had me at forklift, send me those. These are thick, heavy-duty tiles. You will not destroy them no matter what you do. They are easy to clean with a mop. They are easy to lay. In fact, my kid did most of these in return for getting fed that week. If I spill my water on them or just sweat all over them on the bike, the join between them is so good, nothing gets between them. It's basically a solid floor. I then ran a silicone bead around the outside to stop water getting under that way. Absolutely perfect. They make coming in here feel like a room of the house, not a garage. If all you do is paint the walls and put a decent floor down, you transform this space. Number 4, storage. I have 3 rules for storage: nothing unnecessary, nothing on the floor, and nothing that wobbles. Unnecessary, first of all. Everything in here is stuff we need and stuff we use. I do not understand the desire of people to keep crap in their garage or their loft space in the house that they don't require. Sell it, give it away, bin it. Don't store it. Every 6 months we go through all of our cupboards, all the rafters up in here, anywhere where stuff is kept long term, and ask ourselves, have we used this recently? Are we likely to use it again? And clear out what we don't need. I don't care if it's the farmyard set that your kid played with when he was 5 and you'll think he'll love to discover it when he cleans out your house in 40 years time because he's sticking you in a nursing home. He will not reminisce over the cow with 3 legs and the piggy coloured in with a Sharpie. He'll bin it. Saving the hassle, bin it now. I want nothing on the floor where possible. Keep the floor clear. I want stuff up on the walls, in shelves, in storage. I don't want something just sat loose on the floor. It means I can't clean the floor properly. It's a poor use of space. Looks a mess. Basically, if it's on the deck, does it really need to be? And talking of shelves and cupboards, this is not our kitchen. It doesn't have to be fancy pants storage, but it does need space everywhere for things to get put away. The shelving in here, the cupboards and stuff, it's all cheap online stuff. The plastic bins behind me were just stacked next to the crappy floor tiles at the DIY store. It's not flash. But it does need to be fixed solid. 5 minutes with a drill and some screws, and those 4 units there go from being unusable, wobbly junk to being rock solid stuff that will stand up to use time and time again. The same for everything in here. The place is pretty much earthquake proof. I've got a neighbour with those units down the end. I watch him put stuff on them and I get seasick with the swaying. You could swing on mine, and when you think you're out of space, hooks. They are so convenient. It means I can get stuff off the floor, onto the walls, have it spaced out, neat and tidy. I can see it, I can get access to it. Super simple. My gym bag, my earphones, my running kit, my climbing gear. Basically, if it's not stored somewhere because I'm using it on a regular basis and don't want to be diving into a cupboard for it all the time, it goes on a hook. And the last storage idea. So loads of UK garages have this space up above me, which is often wasted. We put some boards up there, which actually many people do. You can then store things up there. We use it for seasonal stuff that comes out once a year, like the cushions for the patio furniture and stuff. Because although there's lots of space up there, it's not ideal to be clambering up and down there on a regular basis. Getting the ladder down, going up there is a bit of a hassle. So for stuff that is too big to be stored down here, but stuff that I want to get at on a regular basis, I have this. My winch system. Winch gear off of Amazon. Winch gear, I just kind of literally Googled winch gear and it told me what to buy, but it's supposed to be rated for humans. I've actually winched my kids up into the rafters just to test it. I wouldn't use it for anything important, obviously, or heavy, or something that could hurt if it fell on your head, but for stuff like this, it's absolutely perfect. I've got 3 setups here. One holds all my motorcycle clothing. This one is for bags, cool bag, mountain bike bag, kayaking bag, rucksack, bags. And the other one has got the dog's paddling pool on at the moment. Absolutely perfect. I can stick stuff up out of the way when it's not needed. That just hooks off as simple as that. I then coil the rope up, chuck it up out the way, job done. When I need something, it's as accessible as if it was hanging down here. It is absolutely a perfect solution. In fact, borderline genius. And on to number 5, let there be lights. This house was built with a single light bulb in here. That was it, right up in the roof there. It was only light in this garage when we bought it. Nuts. It was basically dark in here all the time. Whatever you're doing in your garage, unless it's developing photographs in 1985, you want light. And LED panels that I've got in here are super simple and super cheap. In fact, I've got 8. In fact, I've actually got too many. I have 2 of them unplugged, otherwise they mess up with the filming in here. And the great thing about LED panels is if your ceiling height is low, it doesn't matter. They're a ½ inch thick at most. They're great with the painted walls. It lets light bounce around off of you. It just makes this space feel like a proper part of the house and not an outbuilding. And as well as looking much more inviting, it's obviously much more practical as well, because you can literally see whatever it is you're doing, especially if you're working in here with tools and things. When I had my motorbikes in here and was working on those, if I dropped a nut or a bolt or something, that was it, game over. I'd have to go and stick on a head torch to find it. Now, with all the decent lighting, if something's on the floor, I can see it. I can also see what is untidy and messy and keep on top of the place much better. And that is it, almost. 2 bonus upgrades that we made that didn't make the official top 5 list because, unlike the others, you can't really do them in a day. They aren't particularly cheap, and for many it won't be possible. But if you can, here's what we did. First up, if your garage wall is also the wall of your house and all that stands between you and easy access to in here from in there is a few bricks, knock a hole out. Whether it is popping in here to grab a tool to do some DIY or jumping on my bike, it is just far more likely to happen if you don't have to leave the house to do it. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. Being able to just open the door and come in here easily means I'm just far more likely to come in here. For the first few weeks that we lived here, while I was waiting to get the building regulations to start smashing down walls, and the only way of getting in here was by going out the back door of the house into the cold and the wet and the rain to come in the back door of the garage, it was just unappealing. I didn't do it very often. Now, it is literally just another room, in and out with ease. And stating the obvious, back to security, that door needs to be as secure as your front door, even if your garage door is rock solid. And second on the bonus list, water. Because of our plumbing here in the house, this was a bit of a hassle. We had to get a separate heater unit put in for the hot water feed, but completely worth it in the end. Hot water aside as well, pretty cheap to do. Sink was off of Facebook Marketplace, the worktop and the legs from IKEA, and now it is somewhere where I can do everything from refilling my water bottles when I'm racing on the bike in here, cleaning my gear when I come back from a filthy race, wash the dogs, everything I used to do in the kitchen sink and get yelled at for, I can now do in here and not get yelled at all. If you've got a utility room already, you're sorted, you don't need it. But if you don't, taking up just a little corner of your garage for a sink area is one of those things that once you've done it, you'll just be thinking, how did I live without it? And that is it. That is how we made this space not just usable, but more importantly perhaps, enjoyable and easy to use. If this is where your exercise bike is or your treadmill, your free weights, and you make getting in here quick and simple to do and pleasurable to do, it means you're far more likely to come and use those things. If your treadmill sits in a dark and gloomy garage surrounded by boxes of crap, you'll find any excuse to skip training. Got any questions? Got any feedback? Anything you've used yourself? Anything you think I could incorporate into here? It's not going to be as good as my winch system, obviously, but stick it in the comments anyway. Let's have a look at it. Hope you found it all useful. If you did, like and subscribe, please, because that helps the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one.